So whenever I was 8 years old, my parents bought the local water park in my hometown of Enid, Oklahoma. And this is Splashzone Water Park. It was open for 20 years as Splashzone with my parents owning it. They actually closed it a year ago. So now it looks like a dystopian movie in full disrepair with things growing everywhere. But I want to tell you the story of the day I almost died. I spent every moment of every summer from the time I was in 3rd grade all the way until I moved out of the house here at Splashzone. For the first few years, I spent all of my time underwater. And then I got into skating, so my dad actually built a small skate park in the back.
My name is Cody Jensen. I'm 12. I'm a skater. The new half pipe added on to the Splashzone skate park. It's 5 foot, just a little mini ramp.
Concrete cord is ready.
Greg Jensen, he is building the Splashzone skate park. That's Greg. Yeah! Wrecked!
So all my time as a child was spent almost drowning or almost breaking any choice of bone. But surprisingly, I remained relatively unscathed. And that's not for a lack of trying either. None of the pools here are actually deeper than 4.5 feet deep. And I jumped from here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And over the years, I learned how to barefoot ski going down this entire slide. And I even learned how to stand up going down this slide. And then we got creative and we would stop up water in this slide and hold the water as long as we possibly could, filling the slide up, and then let it go and go down in huge groups. And that is actually how Sarah broke her wrist when she was 14 years old. And yet somehow I still never got hurt. And even though we upped the stakes and we started building ramps down here at the bottom of the drop zone, which would launch us as high as 10 feet in the air, landing in like 3 feet of water, which this did break a couple noses over the years. So after 7 years of contributing nothing but my childhood antics to the family business, I was sent off to lifeguarding school and put to work. Being 16 years old, telling kids when they can and when they can't go down the slide only holds your attention for so long, and being 30 feet high lends itself so well to throwing water balloons at my lifeguard friends. So on one particularly slow day, I had a pocket full of water balloons and one of my best friends was guarding the pool at the bottom of the slide, and I was determined to peg him. I had easily gone through at least a dozen water balloons, throwing them over the course of however long, and I hadn't even come close to hitting him or even splashing him, which was royally irritating. So after a few minutes of not paying attention to where my friend was and actually doing my job of telling kids when to go down the slide or not, I noticed that he had got up and he started walking closer to the tower to clean something up. So I jumped up with my water balloon and I ran up to the edge of this railing and I chucked it as hard as I could at my friend's head, but the ground was wet and my feet slipped out from underneath me, and the force of my throw sent me headfirst over the rail towards the ground. In the split second that it took me to fall, all I remember seeing is the grid of this elevator coming towards my face. And I remember thinking, I'm gonna break my leg, which in hindsight, looking back, is totally illogical considering that I was falling head first. But then everything went black. And the next thing that I remember is the sky coming into focus and the second lifeguard that was up on the tower with me looking over the edge of the railing. And I realized that I was only about 12 feet down straddling one of the crossbeams like a sloth. And after a few moments, I shimmied my way down onto this roof and worked my way over to the stairs. And I was so full of adrenaline that I didn't even process what had just happened. So I just ran back up the stairs to go back to work like normal. But whenever I got up there, the other lifeguard looked like he had just saw a ghost and was like, "Cody, you were bleeding." And I had a small cut on my forehead and I saw the blood. So I worked my way back down the stairs and went into the office to inform my parents. It is a strange thing coming off a adrenaline rush and trying to find the words to tell your parents that their kid almost died just moments ago. And the most I was able to manage was, I just fell off the tower. And the most sympathy that my mom was able to manage was, "Were you throwing water balloons?"
Hey Mom, it's time for summer fun and there's only one place to go. Splash Zone.
So if you know Cody, you know that he's a goof off and he likes to mess around. So I constantly always had to get on to him for throwing balloons or whatever with the other lifeguards. So my first reaction was I wasn't very happy. And I asked him, "So was you throwing the balloons?" So I couldn't really process it. So I was just upset the fact that he was just messing around whenever you know there's lives out there to protect.
Cody, the lifeguard, not paying attention, watching the pool.
Reflecting back on the moment of my fall, it is really hard for me to deny that it was a complete miracle and that God saved my life that day. Just thinking about the physics of me falling off of the tower and landing on a railing that is inset, and the Spider-Man-like acrobatics that would require, and without me remembering any of it. So that in itself leads me to believe that God was there with me that day. But on top of that, while he was using one hand to catch me midair and save my life, he was simultaneously taking that water balloon and sending it for a direct hit to my friend's head. And that would actually make for a really great ending to this story, but it actually gets better, at least for me. So then after I told my mom, I went into the splash zone break room where all the lifeguards take their breaks, and Sarah was working there, and we were actually dating at this time. We were 16 years old, and I basically went into shock. I was just completely speechless, and we just sat there together, not talking.
For like hours.
Yeah, it was a long time. But then this is the part where the story gets even better, is for the first time, I leaned over to Sarah and we were, sitting there, and in her ear I just whispered softly a sweet nothing of, "I love you."
Yeah.
And I said it for the first time out loud. And then of course, Sarah said, "I love you" back.
Right, yeah.
And we fell madly in love with each other from that moment on. But then after we exchanged "I love yous," the story keeps going, the train keeps going. And we left Splash Zone and got into my PT Cruiser, and we drove to Sarah's parents' house, and nobody was home. And I went upstairs to use the restroom, and whenever I came out, Sarah was standing at the bottom of the stairs like a movie to me. And I was had all these emotions and adrenaline, and like everything was pumping inside me, and I just saw her down there, and I was like, I'm gonna kiss her. Okay. So I walked downstairs, and I walked up to her, and I said, "Can I kiss you?" And she said yes.
Except I didn't say yes, because you didn't give me a chance to. That's where our story differs.
Yes. We both agree on how the story happens, but
He
remember
swears I said yes.
that she said yes. Maybe not verbally, but she nodded her head yes as I was coming in for the kiss. But she says that I just said, "Can I kiss you?" and then planted.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
And that was our very first kiss.
Yeah.
And 98th and 99th and 100th kiss.
A lot happened to you that day.
Yeah, I almost died. I said "I love you" for the first time to somebody who wasn't my parents. And I got my first kisses. So all in all, other than I almost died, a pretty good day.
What I remember was when the park was really busy that day and I had to go meet some clients. So I left the park, met the clients, and I'm standing there with them and I get a phone call from Christy and she says, Cody fell off the tower, you need to get back here. And she hangs up. So immediately I start trying to call her back and call the park. Nobody's answering the phone. And so I'm like, I have no idea what to think other than, you know, with the tone of her voice, I'm thinking he must not be hurt. But I was thinking at the same time, how can you fall off the tower and not be hurt? So I just left my client standing there and rushed back to the park and, you know, everything was good.
It's Splash Zone, the hottest, coolest, wettest thing going. Come on, Mom. Call and get our season passes now.